looking ahead to Saturday, obviously you have some guys coming back from international games still, and so some of them are back. Do you expect to have a full roster for the game, or I know you have some suspended guys as well?
Yeah, exactly what you said. In terms of the international guys coming back, everyone came back today with the exception of Yusuf. Yusuf comes back tomorrow. But yeah, we'll have a full roster, and all those guys will be available unless something happens in the next couple days. But I always view international call-ups as an asset in terms of we have that quality of player, and I never want to punish guys for being called into their country. So when they return to club, I don't hold that against them, and everyone will be available for selection.
We'll go to Emma.
Pablo, what have you seen from some of those guys in the team like Carlos, Polster, Farrell, those kind of leaders of the group? What have you seen from them this week and the past 2 weeks as they prepare for the final game? What has been their message to the team?
Yeah, they innately, I think Matt is more of a vocal leader, where Andrew and Carlos are more lead by example. So I think innately, Carlos and Andrew they just have that spirit to keep going, and they're just true professionals in every sense of the word. So I think they're just showing by example of just, showing up to training each and every day at the highest level possible, and not letting bad results or bad days affect them, and it's a clean slate every day. In terms of Matt, he's the communicator, right? So he's just been great in terms of just setting the tone along, obviously, with the coaching staff, but he sets the tone in training. He's an organizer. So what I love about all three of those guys is obviously they're club legends, but great people, and obviously you see their character by they're still pushing. And unfortunately, we aren't in the playoff picture, but again, it speaks to their character even more that they're pushing this hard at this point in the season when ultimately we can't make the playoffs. But it shows their pride, it shows how they feel about the club, and what they want to give the fans.
Frank, you have one?
I was talking about Matt Turner because he
Yeah.
didn't get any time with the national team, but he wants to get back in the picture with them. What do you see with Matt?
Yeah, when the international guys come back, I'd like to, have a discussion with all of them just to, be able to see how camp went and, just how it fared, because from the outside looking in, exactly what you saw, I saw. He didn't get any games, but he had a very good camp. So ultimately, I think he's very happy with that. I think, coming here and playing the games that he has now given him the confidence, not that he didn't have it, but, a newfound confidence that he's in form. And so I think he showed that in camp, and in talking to him, he showed very well. And again, the World Cup is until, next year, so he's got some time to, get into that position. But knowing Matt, he's going to do everything in his power to make that coach's decision as hard as possible in terms of, picking a starting goalkeeper for the country.
Okay.
Pablo, with this being the last game of the season, it'll obviously be the last game that you have that interim tag. Who knows what the off season looks like, what the future looks like, but how much have you enjoyed this opportunity to lead this group over the course of the past month or so?
Man, I've loved it. I've loved every bit of it. I think ultimately with how it happened, it's not how I envisioned it, and that's just the truth. Let truth be told on that one. But yeah, I believe God's timing's perfect. So for me, I know that it's what I was supposed to do in this time, and all I did was focus on the daily and try to help the culture, try to help the training atmosphere, and then obviously prepare and try to win games. So still have one game left to do that, and I definitely all my mind, all my efforts are in that. But yeah, in terms of what that meant for me, it meant the world, because I think every coach that's in my position ultimately, wants to be a head coach at some point in their, life. And, thankfully, in this scenario, I was given the opportunity to lead those men. And like you said, who knows what happens in the future, but all I can control is the today. But yeah, it's something that I don't take lightly, to be able to lead that locker room, lead this club for, a month's time. It means the world to me, and And I know, like I said, God's timing's perfect. So if it's meant for me, it'll be for me moving forward. And if it's not, you know, I'm okay with that because I have faith in that. So ultimately just love this opportunity, love how I've been supported by this club, by the fans, by all you guys. So you've made that transition easy, knowing that it wasn't the easiest situation to walk into.
And then just a little bit of a sidebar, I wanted to ask about Darlington Nagbe, because he's a guy I think you just missed playing with at Akron, but you coached him at Akron, coached him in Portland, coached him in Columbus. As he hangs up his cleats at the end of this season, just wanted to give you an opportunity to just talk about the player and the person that Darlington Nagbe is.
Okay, I'm going to try not to get long-winded on this one. So yeah, I just missed him by a year, but on his recruiting trip to Akron, you know, he stayed with me. So, you know, he wanted to take my number, you know, so there's some ties there, but so it was great to have ties early on, and I can say this now because he's retiring, but he's the best friend I have in this world. Very good person. If you know about his story, you know, came over from Liberia in a war-riddled situation, and again, if you know about his story, you know the person that he is. But yeah, just genuinely one of the best people I've met in this life, unselfish, talking to all the coaches around the league, whether he was on our team or playing against them. If you know the game, you know the game, and he's top. He's top player. I don't say this lightly, but for me, he's one of the best, if not the best, 6/8 that this league has seen. You've seen it with his success in winning championships. But he's truly a guy that makes everyone great around him. And all the greats that have been in this league, top players, and I know this just because I've been his coach and, you know, having conversations with those players, or when I come to new clubs, everyone asks about him. And it's because, again, game knows game. And so people understand what he offers, his unselfishness, and what a career he's had. And, you know, I know that there's some legends that are retiring in terms of Busquets and Alba. But for Americans, he was our Busquets. You know, he was our, you know, midfielder that everyone, you know, tipped their hat to and always wondered how he was doing these things. So he did this. He leads innately. His play was fluid. Just love to watch him play and love what he is. All his accomplishments that he had, they're all well worth it because he's put in time. And again, just speaking of him as a player, like easiest guy to coach, just came in each and every day and just put in work. So bless him. Again, I congratulate him, and ultimately I just hope his career ends like he wants it to.
We'll take one more in English from Emma, and then we'll go to Spanish questions.
Yeah, Pablo, and obviously the last home game, it felt good to, you know, be back in the win column at home. So just what has been the focus this week in training, you know, to try and get that feeling again at home for the last time this season?
Yeah, as we talked about earlier on this week, I mean, training's been a little dodgy from the sense of just getting all these international guys back. But in terms of, you know, today, tomorrow, it's more of the same. It's just more honing in on ourselves, honing in on the game plan. We went over our kind of defensive structures today, and tomorrow we'll finish with the attack. But really the mentality is just win the game. I know it sounds simple, but ultimately we want all the fans to leave with that feeling of 3 points, and we gave that to them, you know, the game prior, and we want to do it again. And I know I've said this, but ultimately, like, this momentum going into the off season means something. I mean, you sit on that result for the off season. So we just want to end on a high, want to end, you know, showcasing what we have to offer, and then ultimately taking that momentum into next year. You know, I've said it in 2019. I was unfortunately in a similar situation of not being able to get into the playoffs, but again, because we ended so hot that year, the next year it rolled into preseason and rolled into the start of season, and we ended up winning a championship. And I think every guy in that locker room wants to win a championship, and that's our mentality.
Omar, start with Spanish.
Profe, siguiendo un poco en la pregunta que le hizo mi colega atrás,
Sí.
¿qué ha significado esta oportunidad para usted? Y también, ¿qué ha significado poder ser el entrenador de este equipo durante estas últimas semanas?
Sí, la oportunidad es algo que es un sueño para mí. y cuando lo tenía y lo tengo ahora, yo estoy en un momento que es todo que yo quiero en la vida. Y cuando estás en esa posición y puedes hacer lo que ves y no tienes a nadie para pararte y lo ves a los jugadores que ellos te empujan y le gustan cómo estamos entrenando, cómo hablamos, cómo tácticamente estamos, es algo que eso es todo para mí y lo hago por los jugadores. No, sí, queremos ganar todos los partidos, pero para el club y los jugadores quiero hacer alguien que ellos pueden venir a mí con la fe y yo tengo fe en ellos para ganar partidos. So, es un sueño.
Profe, ¿la gerencia del equipo ha hablado contigo para sus planes para la próxima temporada?
¿Repite?
La gerencia del
Sí,
equipo
sí.
ha hablado contigo sobre sus planes para la próxima temporada.
Sí, yo tengo una buena relación con Kurt y como yo estoy diciendo, en este momento no es el tiempo para hablar de eso porque estoy enfocado en este partido, el entrenamiento hoy, pero sí hablamos y nosotros, la última vez que hablamos, nosotros sabemos que tenemos una buena relación, pero también vamos a hablar fin de año para averiguar qué va a pasar. Pero sí, yo tengo la fe en este club para hacer lo que tenemos que hacer para este club ganar partidos en un championship.
Gracias.
Profe, el último partido de la temporada, quieren ganar, juegan en casa, ante su público. Chicago viene por un partido muy importante. ¿Cómo se puede ganar el partido?
No te quiero decir tanto qué vamos a hacer, pero es un partido importante para ellos. Pero para nosotros, como estaba hablando de Carles, de Andrew Farrell, de Matt, todo el equipo es un gran partido para nosotros, porque sí, ellos están jugando para meter a dónde van a averiguar en el playoffs, pero para nosotros tenemos la mente en el próximo año, pero tenemos que ganar ese partido para sentir, no cómodo, pero para sentir como tenemos energía para el próximo año. Y eso es que yo siento y ellos lo sienten en el locker room, pero también va a ser un difícil partido porque ellos son un gran equipo y el técnico de ellos hizo un flow de trabajo este año para volver ellos a los playoffs, pero como te estoy diciendo, para nosotros es un gran, importante partido y es nuestro playoff y queremos hacer todo lo que podemos hacer para empujar para ganar el partido para los fans.
Frank, you can get started.
Well, just talking about what you guys are looking for in this last game, and you're looking ahead, to next year as well.
Yeah, I think building momentum is really important at this point in the season. We're obviously very disappointed with how the season has gone so far, and I think building into a project next year is really important. So, yeah, just looking to put on a show and give the fans a show before the season ends. So, yeah.
Hey,
I guess as you reflect maybe on this season, the defense was one of the stronger components of the team. Obviously, not the results that you wanted, though. I guess, how do you feel about how things went this year?
Yeah, like I said, obviously very disappointed. I think we struggled putting together cohesive performances, whether it's kind of team continuity or just putting together a 90-minute performance wasn't always there this year. And I think that's what hurt us the most in the end, and I think that's what cost us a lot of points, and I think that's why we're sitting where we are now. And I think moving forward, it's really important to kind of work on that continuity as a team and being kind of locked in for the full 90 minutes to get results.
And just, do you feel like this team has the talent to have potentially made the playoffs this year, or going forward, do you think that the club is in a position to contend in 26?
Yeah, ever since I've gotten here, the mindset and the motivation, the culture of the club has been very positive, and I think they're striving to do great things in this league, and unfortunately it didn't happen this year, but I think there's a kind of foundation there that the fans should be excited for, and I am certainly excited for in the years to come.
Go to Jeff next.
Well, this is a pretty big game for Chicago in terms of where they finish in the Eastern Conference standings, the play-in game, all that. So what kind of energy do you expect from them from the start, and how important is it to match that energy, especially when you think about how quickly they started that game about a month ago in Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's because, it's their season on the line. I think they're going to come out with everything they have, and it's important for us to kind of match that, as you said, in at least the first 15, and then kind of establish a control in the game and then settle in. And I'm sure our fans will have our backing. So once we settle into the rhythm of the game, I'm confident that we will be able to perform at a high level. So I think it's just matching their intensity and their energy, which I have full confidence in the team to do. So yeah.
Go to Emma next.
What are some of the things that you guys have, prepped for tactically this week, in preparation for Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago's a very disciplined team at the back. They have kind of fundamental ways of building out at the back with the ball. They have certain kind of spatial tendencies that we are looking for and kind of pockets that they like to occupy. So it is definitely something that we are focusing on this week. So yeah.
Frank again.
You've been there for like a year and a half or so. What's your impressions of sort of the fans and the atmosphere as compared with other places? Because you're playing in a bigger stadium, and out here, and you haven't been in the playoffs, but you've got some interest, obviously. Just what's your impressions and compare it to other places?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the energy and the passion that the fans bring to the game. I think that's something that we can harness in years to come. I know that Gillette Stadium and the amount of fans that they bring out has been a kind of a fortress at home for many years, and as I've alluded to in this press conference already, it's been we haven't given the fans what they want and what they deserve this year. So yeah, I think that's something that we can definitely use, and I've always admired their passion. So yeah.
Any other questions in the room? All right, well, that's all the questions.